This is Warren's Most Liked segment, in which you can share how you got started with Android, the problems you had along the way, and much more. If you don't know what to say, we'll help you along the way.
And we close with our Android Journey section this week, and it's Lena. Welcome, Lena. How are you?
I'm great, and you folks have made me feel so welcome. I've been looking forward to meeting all of you because this podcast is how I learned to use Android.
I'm really glad about that. I'm so happy. And I'm going to pass over to Warren because this really is his segment.
I know,
we all
but
love it.
I don't know if he'll talk to me since I use a Samsung device.
Oh,
he doesn't.
Lena.
You know,
I love.
I just wanted to see if you were really listening, Warren.
Lena, I occasionally use an iPhone, and he still talks to me, so you'll be all right.
And I'm glad you mentioned that on the podcast because I sometimes do too. But I have to say, I don't like it.
You like Android more, do you?
I do, but the only thing is a couple apps that I sometimes use, like Oko, are not available for Android, and I don't know if they will be.
Okay.
No, I have talked to the guy, and the guy, say, "Oh, we have a small company, and there's too many phones on Android, blah blah blah." And so I don't think it's ever going to be coming
what
to.
is Oko?
It's just it's a navigational thing to let you know when the lights, are changing or not. You're trying to walk across the street, that kind of thing. But frankly, I've always said I don't want an app that I have to hold my phone out and pointing at the camera. Someone might as well take that damn phone away from you.
Oh, so you have to basically video everything with your
No,
I wouldn't want to do that.
No, you point your camera at the light.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you have to have your phone pointing your phone out. And you're walking in a bad city like LA or whatever, someone's going to take that damn phone away from you.
Yeah, I just ask a human. It's cheaper.
Well, okay, now I've got to represent the other side because generally I wouldn't care about this app because I have good traffic skills, even though I have to use hearing aids. But on Sunday morning, there is no traffic. So on Sunday...
so you can't tell.
I can't tell, and I don't like that guessing and running thing. I mean, I've obviously been doing it for years.
In the UK, we have some of them beep, and some of them have a little cone underneath that spins when you can go. So, but it's probably not like that in the States.
Well, we have some that do, but most do not.
Lena, we really thank you so much for coming on. And of course, as you know, this is my favorite segment of the podcast. And it's not often that we have people coming on to talk about their Android journey stories. And so when we do, for me, it's a total nice, beautiful treat. And so thank you so much for coming to talk about your Android journey story. And we love you using your Samsung out there. I don't have anything against Samsung. I do have a Samsung device, and I love Samsung devices. They've given us a lot in Android.
Well, actually, Warren, you were very gracious when I first got my phone, and you answered an email and were just so kind and helpful. So I've had a soft spot for you in the group ever since I first got my Android. The first week I had it, I reached out and you responded.
Yeah, here I don't.
You must have caught him on a good day, Lena. You're like the only person in the world ever. Well done.
Oh my gosh! I don't even remember talking to Lena before, and so when she said she had, I was surprised. But so Ed is putting me out to be a bad guy. I'm not a bad guy.
Well, no, you put yourself up to be a total diva. You blanked her. Do you remember? Like the fan comes up and goes, "Do you remember when you gave me your autograph?" And you just gone, "No, I don't. You blanked her here again. Absolutely outrageous. Like, atrocious behaviour.
Yeah, never meet your hero.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
So, Lena, when did you first get an Android phone then, and what phone did you get?
June 6th, 2022. And I had been thinking about Android, but whenever I would ask an assistive tech person, and I used to think they knew what they were talking about, they would say, oh no, blind people still can't use it. And I didn't do my own research. I just believed them. But I got so annoyed with Apple because they completely broke Braille, and every update breaks something that I like. And the last straw, which is why I remember the date so well, was they sold me an iPhone 12 that was defective. Okay, that can happen. But in order to get them to fix it, I had to go beyond Apple and get help from other government agencies. The phone was overheating to a point of being unsafe. So that particular day, I had been to the Apple store for about the millionth time. It was really hot in San Diego. That does not make me happy. And Best Buy had this incredible sale, so I could get a Samsung A13 for $125. And I said, I don't care if I have to get a sighted person to help me with every aspect of this phone. I'm done with Cash. I call them Cash Mountain. Warren calls them Fruit Bell. I call them Cash Mountain.
It's a mountain of money right there, I tell you.
So the man in the Best Buy store turned on talkback for me. He has the A13. And so I was able to make a phone call. That was all I was able to do. And every night I would come home and I don't know how I found the Blind Android Users podcast, except that I was trying to research blind accessibility for the phone and found you guys. Every night I would come home and I would skim podcasts. I started with number 1 and I would learn something. And during the first week, my talkback got turned off 2 times and I couldn't get it to come back on. I had to call Ira and those agents. I'm so thankful for them, because guiding my finger to the button when my finger was covering the button and they couldn't see if I was right on the button. But we got it done. And part of the problem with that phone was my power switch wasn't working quite right, but I didn't know it yet. So when I figured that out, I took it to Best Buy and they replaced it right away. Nothing like Cash Mountain. And then the phone worked great. So,
I like the Cash Mountain. Maybe I'm gonna steal that from you.
Yeah, I don't really think you should insult the fruit, you know. But
yeah, I mean, apples taste quite nice, don't they?
Yeah, I live in Appleville, you know.
You know, when you eat apples, they're kind of crunchy, and they're the best fruit if you're going on a day out and you want to take something. Because if you take a banana and you squash that banana,
It's gonna go mush, yeah.
And it goes all yucky, and then your whole bag stinks of banana. And
I agree, Fee.
They have gone even more Cash Mountain-y last week as well. So
what have they done?
Well, I mean, the EU, we don't need to do anything, neither does the US. The EU will just kill them for this. They've said that anyone who repairs a device that uses an Apple Pencil with aftermarket parts, as in not Apple parts, the Apple Pencil won't work. Now,
what you mean? They've just done this so that you have to buy
Apple parts
stuff? Wow.
Yeah. So this is a big thing in the automotive industry. It always has been. Can you use aftermarket parts, or can Mercedes insist that you take a car to a Mercedes garage? That's basically the argument. And the EU killed the automotive industry for it. So the fact Apple has even ventured this, I think, is amazing. They must be relying on the US to defend them, because the EU will kill them for this. And I can't believe they've done it.
We need to get some popcorn and watch the entertainment now, don't we?
Well, no, because I know the Titanic sinks. I don't need to go watch this film. Like I know where this goes. There's literally no need. I saw
Spoiler.
it last week.
Thanks a
I
lot,
know.
Ed.
I
I was
know.
going to watch that movie.
yeah. I did say that in the Titanic cinema once, and someone shouted at me from behind me saying, "You've ruined the film."
Really? Wow.
Anyway, I'm interrupting your Android journey, but Cash Mountain has gone even more Cash Mountain. They will try and compromise their product if you use third-party parts, and as I say, the EU will kill them for it.
And then, so the more I learned that every time any of you demoed an app, I would download it and try it. Some of them I kept, some of them I didn't, but that's not a criticism of anybody. That's just my needs are different. And as I got to a point where I didn't have to think about the gestures anymore and where things were, I started to really like Android, and I started to customize my phone. I'm happy with the Samsung phone, but for example, I like Google Speech better. Well, I can put that on my phone. I'm not stuck with what Samsung gives me. And I love the customizability.
You know something you said, Lena, the date that you joined Android, June 6th, was that not the D-Day back in 1944? So what a beautiful day to annihilate.
Oh dear, and I live in a military town and I didn't even think of that.
I thought that was such a coincidence that, you did that on D-Day, How beautiful.
So are you still using your A13 now, or
I
have you
am, and
upgraded?
No, I haven't upgraded yet. I was going to, but I'm not quite sure what I want. I know that I want a smaller form factor. What I don't like about the A13 is it's just a little big. I have small hands, and it's just a little big to be comfortable for me. But do I want to stay with Samsung, or do I want to try a Pixel? I'm just really conflicted about this.
So
But
here's the problem.
There is no need. There is no need to be conflicted about this.
That's right. I'm just going to go buy Samsung.
Don't listen
Well,
to
Yeah.
Ed.
no.
No.
We already know what Ed's going to say.
Let's
This
be
is a comment in the
objective.
negative. No,
Nah, let's be objective,
I am
Ed.
going to be objective, Warren. Don't buy a Pixel. I'm not
Yeah.
saying you have to buy Samsung. I'm just saying. Like,
Well, the advantage to getting another Samsung is that they will give me something for this pretty old phone as phones go.
Yeah. What I
Never
was
buy
going
a
to
Pixel.
say is that,
you know when they say never take sweets off a stranger. Never buy a Pixel.
Elena, listen to me. Don't listen to that boy. What I'm thinking, if you like a smaller phone, probably, something like the Galaxy S21 might be
So
perfect
that's a
fit.
Samsung. It's not a Pixel, is it, Warren?
No,
You're not recommending a Pixel.
No.
The S22 is small as well. I that's what I have, and I have small hands.
So if
That's
you
quite
can
nice.
get, the basic models of either the S21, S22, you would love those. Now, if you are thinking of a Pixel, there aren't many smaller Pixels necessarily, because I think that the smallest would probably, John, would you say maybe it's the 6A? The 7A is, probably one of those two is what we consider, small phones. I wouldn't recommend the Pixel 5 is a trashy phone if you ask me. But that would have been the perfect fit, would be the Pixel 5, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Well, in the next month, I will have a new phone.
Yeah, it's a good idea, I think, to get, if you get another A1, to maybe get, am I right in saying maybe a higher number, especially if you want good speakers? Like, my mum got the A53, I think, and she really likes that.
Yeah, but that's a big phone. That's a bigger phone.
Is that quite big? Is it too big? Oh,
well, and can somebody tell me that? Like, I don't understand Samsung's numbering system.
So the A phone, the S phones tend to be the flagship ones.
Oh, okay.
And the and the A ones are sort of more mid-range. Is that about right?
Well, So what happens is the S is the main series, and they're very good. The A series vary. So if it's like 0, I know you've got the A13 T, they may not be that fabulous. The first number, when it goes 3, 4, 5, up to 7, although they've stopped with the 7s, but they might be quite good. The last number, so the second digit, tells you how old the phone is or how new it is. So at the minute, you have the A54 5, so it's quite a good phone. 4, we've had 4 generations of that 5 phone.
Oh, thanks.
But
Yeah.
but the
so-
S ones, that works in a different way. They've done that a bit weird. They went all the way up to S10, and then they just 1, 2, 3, 4. Up. I
Yeah.
think they would have started at 1, didn't they? I don't know actually. Being computer nerds, they might have started at 0. I don't think they did. That was the nothing phone. That was another company. But then after 10, they went 20. Huh?
Oh, no
Yeah,
wonder
so
I've
it's
been
just-
so confused.
It's just
So-
the year now. So they switched
Yeah.
from the 10th
Oh,
phone. Now it's the year it's
Oh.
released for the S phones. Yeah.
oh, I've been so confused.
Yeah, and if it has FE afterwards, it stands for fan edition. So I got the S20 FE in the beginning of 2021 because I couldn't afford at the time the S20 itself, but I wouldn't recommend that one because it's a bit big, and I found it a bit big.
Yeah.
The S22, I mean, I got it. I didn't buy it outright. I got it on a contract where you have a monthly airtime plan. I don't know how they do it over there, but here
Yeah, they do.
now you have an airtime plan, and then you have another plan where you're paying your back for your phone. So you know exactly how much you're paying for the phone and exactly how much you're paying for the network service. It used to just be an airtime plan. Anyway, that's how I got my S22 because they were a bit. I mean, it was like outright. It would have been £504. I don't know what that is in dollars, but a few hundred. But you do get, a better phone. So it depends what you want. But the reason I got the S22, and I don't know, again, I don't know how it works in the States, but the reason I got the S22 is that the S23, being the latest, had the latest price tag, and I just went, I'm not paying £8 more a month. That's too much.
Yeah, that's usually why I go for a little bit earlier phone. But the reason I went with the A13 was because of the sale. And
Yeah.
I hope I don't offend anybody, but I really thought I would hate Android.
Well,
Because
I did the same thing.
Because of all the negative stuff I hear in the blind community. I don't
know
get
it's
it.
bad, isn't it? It's
Yes.
really I think what's happened is a lot of people have used it 10 or 15 years ago, hated it, which is fair enough 10 or 15 years ago,
Yeah.
and never tried it again.
Well, I also think, and I don't know how it works in the UK, but we have state agencies that provide tech training and what have you. They're really pushing the Cash Mountain stuff because they don't want to learn. That's what I think.
Of excited people, most of them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you are.
Yeah, but even the blind tech trainers are handing out a lot of mythology about Android as well.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I've emailed everyone that I talk to. I have now sent a demo of the phone to prove my point that Android is accessible. And I have arthritis in my hand, so I figure if I can use it, a lot of other people are going to be able to use it also.
Do you think that some of these companies maybe get subsidized phones from Apple? Could that be part of the reason? I don't know. I'm just guessing, and it could be nonsense. Because actually, I
think it's just everyone has them. So.
It's just that, well, not so much anymore, but yes, they did. I mean, because the thing is, nowadays Apple phones are so expensive. If I wanted an iPhone, it would have been. Would it be fair to say? Well, maybe not. Maybe it would have been a bit more, but yeah. I mean, some of the iPhones are so expensive, and I don't. Apart from the Samsung Fold, and maybe the Pixel Fold as well. I'm not sure. Most Android phones you wouldn't get many over $1,000, would you?
But you don't need
Apart
the
from-
latest phone to tell people you're training that Apple is more accessible than Android. You can do it on the phone you bought 5 years ago. Like, there's no money involved.
Exactly.
Yeah, but if you're
you know
telling a
what you know.
person, but if you're telling a person that and they can't afford an Apple phone, that's stupid, isn't it?
Well,
You know,
Well, yeah,
that's,
but I don't think there's any like product planting going on a la Bond films. I think it's just that that's what people think, and they're wrong, obviously. But
before I got my Samsung Galaxy S9, I think that was in 2018, I thought, I might hate Android because I hated it a few years ago, but I don't know because I haven't tried it for ages, and people were saying, it's getting better. So I thought, well, I'll buy a cheapish Android phone and test it. And I could do that for like £140 or something. You couldn't do that with Apple, could you?
no, you would. The only way you could do it is if you got a plan with your phone company, and then you'd be locked in. So that's why I went with the cheap phone. I thought I'm probably going to regret this because I did have some sound concerns. I mean, the speakers are not great, and even though I'm hearing impaired enough to use hearing aids, I still appreciate good sound.
Yeah.
But
the S22 has nice sound.
Good. Well, this was a safe way for me to get into Android, and then now that I like it so much,
I think that's brilliant. And that's one of the reasons I really love Android as well, is that people can try it. And if you've hated it, at least you wouldn't have spent $600 or more, you know.
Well, and I like that I can put other people's stuff on it. Like, I also like the Gboard keyboard better. Well,
yeah, and you can swap.
Yeah. And I can have them both there if I want to.
Yeah. And I found that Samsung have recently broken Braille. John will attest. Oh no, John, I don't know if you use Braille. Warren will attest to this. But I could still go back and I could use Braille back instead. Whereas if Apple broke Braille, you can't. It's Apple Braille or Apple Braille. You know, there's no third-party version you can, or older different app that you can choose. There's a lot more choice, isn't there, with Google?
Well, I have my Mantis Q40 connected. I just got a Q40 a few months ago, and I have it connected to my Samsung phone over Bluetooth since the June updates, and it's working. So I don't.
Oh, maybe I need to try it again then, because I've got a Vario Braille display.
Well, and I don't know, like, there was a whole list of Braille displays. There were even some that I didn't recognize, which, I mean, it's not that I'm an expert on everything, but because I like Braille, I do try to keep up on displays and neat stuff that I can't afford and don't want, but like to know about.
Yeah.
So I was really kind of surprised, but it was after the updates, and TalkBack, I think, was 13.5. But if you want, I can look up exactly what I have and email it.
Okay, that'd be cool, because I might try again, and if it doesn't work, I can just go back to Braille back till they fixed it. That's why I do like. And there's also the really geeky one, what's that called? BRLTTY or something.
Yes, that's exactly.
I haven't tried it yet, but I could if I wanted to, you know. And there's even a different screen reader, the commentary one that we're always talking about. Now, I haven't tried it, but the point is, if I want to, I could.
Well, that's it. I haven't tried it either, but I know I could. Well, and the other thing I like, and I never would have thought about this until I, became sort of comfortable, like maybe 6 months in. Like, we even have choices about the gestures. I mean, if we want to, we can use the old angle gestures. And sometimes I do. Like, if my hands are very painful, I'll use those because it gives my fingers a little break.
Yeah. Because, John, you use those, don't you?
I love angle gestures. If that's what's keeping me around, those angle gestures. You guys know I'm a one-handed user.
John, I love them too.
Yeah. If I don't have to like I do use the multi-finger gestures. I'm glad they're there because I can do a lot more with them. But if I could do a lot more just with one hand with the ankle gesture. So I don't use my other hand if I don't have to. And especially a few years ago, I mean, my son's 3 now, but when he was a newborn, there is a lot of times that you only have one hand available. Like
Oh,
you just got your baby to go to sleep and you want to do something on your phone. You only have one hand. You need those ankle gestures.
I go into Best Buy and there are aisles of phones. I mean, I have just walked around touching phones and testing the sound because my next phone will be a much more informed choice. I don't have that option. What do I have? 3 or 4 choices in a Apple store.
I love that about Android, that you, like I say, that you could try the entry level and go, do I like this? Don't I? Okay, I'll give it some time, and now you're going, okay, now I'm going to get my slightly much better phone, building on the knowledge I've already got. I think that's great. I love
Well,
Android for that.
Well, the fact that this podcast is like an Android course. I mean, it really is. You can go back and start with number 1. I mean, I didn't know anything. I knew 4 angle gestures. That was the extent of my knowledge.
Mm.
And thank you so much, Lena. Our first episode was just absolutely horrible.
But that's the other thing that's been fun, Lord. That's why I was so anxious to come on this podcast, because I have seen how it's grown and the
Exactly.
fun you guys have. I mean, I love this podcast.
We really thank you so much for
Yeah.
being there.
We love you. We love you too.
Exactly. And we really do.
Yeah,
And we
we do.
mean it, because it's people like you that keep us around, to be honest. Because if we do not have listeners, we wouldn't be going on. I mean, we're nearing 150 episodes. Today's our 138th. And so 12 more. Am I correct? Yeah, 12
you are.
more and we'll be
Yeah,
150.
you can count.
I can't
Yeah.
count.
You can count.
Less
You can
less
count.
than 3 months.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
11 more, and then it'll be the 150th.
There you go.
So,
So
12, including
definitely
this one.
we'll get to 150 before the year runs out. And so we really thank you and every other listener of the VAU podcast that has made this a success. And we love hearing these Android journey stories. And so if you are out there and you haven't come on to talk about your Android journey story, learn something from Lena and try to get on Android on a good day, like what she did on a D-Day.
Lena, while you're here, and you
Yes,
don't
sir.
have to, but do you want to tell us anything about Six Dots Art?
Oh, I would love to, Ed, because I am passionate about Braille, and I'm passionate about people being able to do with Braille what people do with print, and that includes drawing. So about a year ago, I started learning to code, which, oh boy, so that I could put together this website. I have several artists that I work with who design pictures. My brother's very talented. He designs them with CAD, but other artists, do it differently. And I write the patterns so that a person who does not know Braille will have the dots they should press in the brackets right next to the sign or the letter. And I have all kinds of things, aardvarks, wild animals, holiday symbols. There's over 300 patterns there. I even have England, Ed. You can go
Amazing.
You can go
Amazing.
you can draw the shape of England, and you can find the 2, 3, 5, 6, the GG symbol, and know where London is. That's where you and Thea are, I think.
It is, yeah. But
We
like
are.
literally, what do I do though? Like, well, what's the process from soup to nuts? Like, what do I do to do that?
Okay, you just go to the website because everything is free. And you, at the bottom of every page, there's a list of the patterns that we have. So you click on whatever thing you want to draw, and then you use your heading level command if you're a screen reader user, and just use your H command until you get to the pattern. Some pages only have one Some have a whole lot, like the Christmas ornaments. That page has a whole lot. The crosses has a whole lot, but the aardvarks only have two because there's only an outline of an aardvark like a child might color and then a silhouette.
So what is the web address?
It's 6six.art.com. And I chose the name because Braille has 6 dots and I wanted people to do art.
What I want to say is that you are such an inspiration, because at your age, probably a lot of people don't know how old you are. Women probably when you're 29, you're
Oh, I'm
29 and
70.
holding.
I'm 73 and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, and frankly, to know that you actually are this active and doing the things that you are doing is such an inspiration to me. And I just wanted to mention that because you have a lot of people that say, "Oh, I'm too old for that," and to see you doing this is such an inspiration. I'm so
And
thankful.
trying new things, giving Android a go and saying, well, I don't know if it'll work,
Exactly.
but I'll try,
Android is easier than web coding.
Exactly. See, I don't even
I'm sure
remember
it
how
is.
to web code. I did that many years ago, but now I can't even write my name.
Well, I broke a page just by missing a semicolon the other day, so that would not happen to me on Android.
Now, Lena, we want to mention something here. We have an open door for listeners to come in. So at any given time, you feel like coming to the podcast. I think we forgot to mention this to you, that, you're part of the podcast, coming on. You could have participated. We forgot to mention that. But frankly, at any time you want to come on and be our listener guest on the podcast, just let us know and we'll have you come and chat with us because it's been such a great time talking with you.
I've had a wonderful time and I will take you up on that, even if Ed does get my name wrong sometimes.
Yeah. So again, people should check your website out, which is 6dots, SIXDOTS art.com. So 6dots art.com.